Hi positive readers, it's Positive Writer today with another video. And today I'm going to be telling you about 3 2021 releases that you need to check out right now. 2021 has already begun, obviously, and we are in the 3rd month, which is insane. I don't understand how any of this happens. Very surreal for me. But anywho, that means I've read some books. I've read 11 books so far this year, which means I'm backed up because I'm trying to read 100, which would mean like 4 a month. But look, I'm trying my best, and a lot of stuff has been going on, and I hope you're trying your best too. And even if you're not, look, don't, be kind to yourself in all this time going on, be proud of the stuff that you've done. But in the midst of all these books that I have read a lot of 2021 releases because I have so many NetGalley arcs. I'm backed up now. I hope the authors don't hold them against me. Most of the books have not come out yet, so I'm trying to pace myself and read them in time. But I have read 3 of them that are out right now and that I want you to go read because they're amazing books, and I definitely think that they're underrated and that you need to check them out. And I'm so honored to have been sent them and given access to them so that I can read them and tell you about them before it came out. But now they're out, so now you actually have access to them and you can go get them yourself. So I definitely already kind of talked about a couple of these in my January wrap-up video, but that was one video, and now this is this one, and this is the one where I'm going to actually book chat these books, and it might take us some time, but if you're interested in the thoughts about these books, instead of just knowing what they're about and then going to read them, this video is for you. I'm going to be reviewing all these books, and you're going to hear all about them, and I'm very excited because these books are absolutely amazing, and again, very underrated. I definitely think that you should check them out if you have not yet. The first book I'm going to be doing on this list is going to be called Prodigal Son, an Orphan X novel by Greg Hurwitz. And this book was an arc from NetGalley that I got, and I read it. And it came out January 26th of this year, and I read it, and I'm going to be reviewing it for you today. But before I do that, let me tell you what it's about so you can go read it and then come back and hear all my amazing thoughts, because I have a lot to say about this book. This book is about a guy, and his name is Evan Smowick, and he was in a foster home. He was an orphan. His mom didn't want him, and so he got sent to a foster home. And one day this guy pulls up and is like, bro, you know what I'm saying? I'm looking for some boys that will become assassins, basically. I'm going to train them to become assassins. And he is chosen. And so he goes and he becomes an assassin, and now he's a grown man. And the novel switches between him as a boy coming into this assassin role and him as a grown man already retired from assassinating, when his birth mother, calls him on the phone and is like, can you help me with something? And she exposes that she's his birth mother and asks him to do it for her and all this stuff. And so it's all this crazy winding storylines. He has to go find and help this guy. So many twists and turns, so many roller coasters of emotions. It's an amazing book about second chances, about emotions, about maturity, about how childhood situations can still follow you into adulthood if you don't really get help from them. How coping mechanisms can be built from a young age and you'll never grow out of them if you don't realize that they're bad. Things like this. It was an amazing book while also being completely action-packed and amazing. So I'm going to be talking about the book today, and I hope you read it because it's amazing. It's part of a series, which I didn't find out until after I read the book. But you should read the entire series, even though I have not yet. Maybe it's even better if you read the other books before that. But yes, I'm pretty sure it's 5 in the series, and so I definitely think it's worth the read. If this one was that good, I guarantee the other ones were that good, if not better. So, without further ado, I'm going to talk about this book. Right off the back, the thing that I noticed, because I read this because I wanted to get the arc because it's a mother and son book. I knew it was going to be about a mom and a son, or at least just the son, finally meeting his mom. I'm like, oh man, you know what I'm saying? This is so interesting. And right off the back, I love the mom. Because the mom, rattled him. When she called him on the phone, she was like, hey, can you help me? And she was kind of so at ease with herself and the fact that she was a mom. And that she was his mom, even though she had talked to him in so many years and gave him up and stuff. She really just rattled him. This is like a hardened assassin man. He's not a horrible person or anything. He's really nice. But he also is just kind of rigid. And his mom is making him, making him glitch or whatever. And I thought that was amazing. I said the way that despite being a very human hitman, I still love the off-guard way in which she made him feel vulnerable. He started to be vulnerable, and he said that he felt physically smaller while he was talking to her on the phone. And I just thought, I really liked that right off the bat, that was the establishing, that was the establishment of their relationship and of how the mother, went about talking to him. I liked that a lot. And I said in the book, so many times, I just kind of wrote in my notes that the book was just really good. I love the multiple storylines. Like I'm telling you, there was the guy who he had to go save, Andre, and then it was his mom, and then it was him, and then it was him as a boy. And then it was the villains coming to find them. It was so many different point of views, so many different storylines at once, and I loved all of them, and I really was interested in that. And I love I love a story that, starts from the bottom and then comes up to where we are now. And I love a story that also has both storylines going on at once. So I really enjoyed that about it. The mom, when he kind of met her, she would just like smirk a lot. And, I was just, wow, and she would like laugh, she would like snicker at random times that one might not be that appropriate. And I just liked the way she approached life, you know what I'm saying? She was a very mysterious character, but the way she kind of was just at ease with everything, I thought was really interesting, and I really enjoyed about her character. Again, my next note is literally how I love how casual the mother is about everything. But she's also in control. Like she loves to be controlled and she is controlled, but she also is very casual. I love it. It's not often that we see a mother like her, especially not one that gave her baby up for adoption and kept checking up on him, because we find out that she actually has been checking up on him ever since she put him in the adoption home. And again, the mom is so active. I love it. I really just could not reiterate that enough. And now here is the other point of view that I was talking about that I really, really liked, because of course there were a lot of them. But my favorite one was the villains. The sibling duo, this twin sibling duo, Queenie and Declan. I loved them so much. Like I remember when they kind of established that they had like walked up or whatever, and they had like killed whoever in the very beginning of the novel, when they kind of figured out that we needed to help Andre or whatever. We had the point of view of the person looking at them as they came up to the counter or whatever. And the way that they were described was just amazing. They like wearing bright red or something. They like had some great outfits on. I remember him being described as smaller, which I loved, because, also oftentimes guys are just so big and buff and, bodybuilder in these books that I read, which hasn't happened in a minute. I haven't read books like this in a minute, which is good. But, it's kind of like they always have this, like, stature of, I'm a bodybuilder, I'm a manly man, or whatever. But he kind of was just described as smaller and, a smaller voice, like a lighter voice or whatever. And I thought that was amazing. I thought that was great. And I really liked that, and it kind of just made me love them more, because I love a good sibling relationship. And they also are very complex. I love their relationship together, and also being in his point of view, Declan's. I love them. I'm going to be honest. Like, I love every point of view that they popped up in, This book, since it took me so long to read, but I remembered them, and I loved the little parts of them, and as I continued reading the book and got back into it, I really enjoyed them. I loved how close they were, and how, I'm pretty sure I talk about it later on, so I'm going to wait, but I just thought that they were really, really sweet. I also loved Andre's character. Andre is the character that we gotta help now, because he's being targeted by these siblings and framed for the murder of some guy at his place of work. And so, I really found him relatable and very interesting. He's a black guy, and he has a daughter who is kind of like, who he doesn't want to see because he doesn't think he's worthy of being a dad. So he's like living in this dump above like a Chinese restaurant or whatever. And he really just not having a great time. But I loved him. I thought it was funny. I thought it was interesting and very relatable, and I enjoyed his point of view. Queenie and Declan, here we go again, y'all. I'm telling you, I just have so many notes about them. They continue to have me glued to the book. Like, their borderline telepathy that they had going on, and her ability to calm him down, was the perfect break from all the action in this book. Because they are as great villains as they are a team. They're villains. We know that they're the bad people in the story, that they're going to after the character, the protagonist that we're supposed to be rooting for. And yet, they are still just as interesting as characters just by themselves, and we feel sympathy for them, we feel bad for them in their childhood and the things that have happened. And I love that, and we love to see, that softness that they had. There were so many times like Declan would like have a full-on nightmare, and Queenie would be right there, just holding him and holding his hand, making sure he knew he wasn't alone. I thought it was beautiful. I'm gonna be honest, like I just love that so much. And this was a quote, I'm pretty sure. This was the quote. What if that was the point? To expand ourselves in the care of people who matter. And I thought what I took from this was that, when you meet somebody, or when you get to know somebody, or when you're in a relationship with somebody, no matter what type of relationship it is, isn't that the point? They're not supposed to just have you just chilling in the area that you're in, or the place that you're in your life, and you're supposed to be like looking around like, okay, I'm fine. They're supposed to help you and expand you as a human being and have you grow. And you're supposed to help them grow too. And I just love that so much. I love that he realized that he, meaning the protagonist, realized that when you love someone, you grow and expand with them. Even if you'd rather stand still, or rather they stand still, in fear of the unknown. And that's like a beautiful notion. I think that a lot of people need to realize. So many people want to just kind of hold people where they are. But growing is, the only way to thrive in life. And I love that was discussed in this book. Evan, main character, is a badass. I loved him. He was very grounded in his morals for a guy that never really had any nurturing. You know, he didn't have a mom. He grew up in like this really ruthless home for boys. But he still had such of a moral compass about him. And he's just a really good person. I really liked him. And he, you know, even though he had armor over his feelings and things like this, I loved how soft he was. And I said I love this book so much. You know, this was at the end of the book because so much stuff happens in this novel. And I'm not explaining the whole thing because even if you have watched it, now I haven't told you any plot points, so you can still go read it and with the knowledge that I told you and run with it and have a great time. But I just really enjoyed this book a lot. You know, it really had me thinking. Like after I read it, I was just like thinking about it afterwards. And it had so many notions in it and so many scenes that really just stuck with me. And so I definitely recommend it for that reason exactly. And I said I love this book, not because of its action or scenes of suspense, which were good, but still. I loved it because of how it talks about how we never really leave our child selves behind, and how when we don't take the time to heal them, we continue acting like the worst parts of them. As a child, if you don't have good coping mechanisms or you're not cared for correctly, you grow in a way that's really not healthy, and then you keep those same coping mechanisms in your adult life, and that's much worse because you have influence on other people and things. But when you take time to heal your child self, you can really just do wonders for your adult life. But also it talked about how second chances are possible and that it's never too late to start your life. And I love that. That was just, you know, what a beautiful book. Like, I really enjoyed myself. I'm pretty sure I almost cried several times. I really just enjoyed it. It was a magnificent novel in every sense of the word. I definitely recommend it. If you're not convinced yet, please be convinced now. I hope that you read it because it was just magnificent. The next book on this list of reviews that I think you should read and came out this year in February, it's called Do No Harm, Christina McDonald. This book was just fantastic, okay? And this book right here is about, again, a mother and son. But this time it's from the mom's point of view primarily. And it has a son who kind of has some bruises on him one day. And she's like, what's going on here? And she kind of thinks nothing of it or whatever. But, you know what I'm saying, she has a nice little family with him and, you know what I'm saying, with her son and her husband. And they have like the cutest family dynamic. And one day, it comes out at like a doctor visit that he has leukemia. And she's like, what the F? You know, what are we going to do? And so she asks the doctors, and all these treatments they start mentioning, they cost money. And she doesn't have the money. And she's one of those people who loves to fix things. She has to be in control. She has to fix things. She's like a protector, you know, a provider. And so she's like going to take it upon herself to get the money for this leukemia treatment. And the thing in this town that she lives in, the problem is opioids. And so she joins the opioid business to pay for her son's leukemia surgery. And I thought it was just fantastic. Again, this book was amazing. It was about survival. It was about how far you'll go for those that you love. It was about morally great characters, morals, period. I loved it. It was amazing. It was exhilarating. I was afraid. I was thrilled. It was such a great novel. And I definitely need you to read it. But anyway, my thoughts now. I said that my favorite thrillers are those that start with the end, because this book did that. It started with a passage that showed up later on in the novel, and I love when thrillers do that. You know, keep me interested. You know what I'm saying? Give me something to look forward to that's scary, and then keep me interested as the novel progresses to that point. It gives me something to look forward to and to try and piece together as the novel goes on, and this book started off with that, intriguing me immediately. This was a quote from the novel. You need him as much as he needs you. Nate, which was her husband, had said once. Not exactly in a nice way. This was in her point of view, and she kind of was just saying how he was kind of jokingly saying that her son needed her as much as he needed him. And I said right off the bat, I love Josh, which is her son, and the way that Emma, who is the main character, treats him. She seems like an amazing mother, which is the entire premise of the novel. Anyway, but their relationship is so sweet to read about. The way that he relies on her and feels safe with her, you can just tell. Something she's so honored by. Like, she's so honored that he comes to her and that he feels safe with her. It's beautiful, you know. I just thought it was amazing. And I know it will be nerve-wracking. I knew from the fact, like from the first page, that it was going to be nerve-wracking seeing how these beautiful characters were going to act once the main conflict started arising. There are times there are times when it takes a moment for a book to truly get me interested. Like, I'm telling you, like, sometimes I'm like, you know what I'm saying, am I interested? And it can take me like at least 100 pages. That's not good. But this book had me glued to the pages immediately. Something I didn't expect to happen. Especially because I'm in the middle, well, I was at the time. I was in the middle of like 30,000 books. And it would be wise to finish those first. It would have been wise back in the day or whatever, back when I was reading this. But no, like, this one was immediately a priority because of how amazing it was and how it popped off immediately. This was another quote. I'm pretty sure this is Emma. I gazed into his sapphire eyes. He was so perfect. The best thing in my life. So when I answered, I was 100% truthful. Of course, I said, and she's talking to her son at this point. I would do anything for you. I thought this was such a beautiful quote to end the scene with. It was a scene where they were kind of talking about fear and a story about a mom who would do anything for her kid or whatever, who did anything and sacrificed something for her kid. And her son kind of asked her, would you do anything for me? And she said yes, 100% truthfully. I thought it was a beautiful quote to end. I'm pretty sure this was like the first chapter. I thought it was an amazing quote to end the book, end the scene and start the book with, showing us already that she is willing to do whatever is necessary for her son. Amazing. I can't help but wonder how many kids would be a lot better off now and later in life if they had this treatment of protection and comfort. You know, I hear about so many kids that are old and young, and that, you know what I'm saying, as kids, they were not given this nurturing or this feeling of, I have someone in my life that will do anything for me, you know? And so I think that if a lot more parents acted like Emma, everything would be better. But anywho, I love that the book established the sort of characters, the sort of people that the characters were morally. In the moral sense, they established it right off the bat. So now we know, you know what I'm saying, how, you know what I'm saying, now we get to kind of think, how are they going to act in a situation where things are morally great? Foreshadowing, I thought it was great. Emma and Nate have such a great marriage, and the environment and dynamic just really made me smile so many times. It also made me realize how people must feel when their households aren't providing that. Like, the way that they kind of just bounced off each other and were very at ease and very nice and, you know, very understanding with each other was beautiful. And it really did make me think about so many kids that grow up in environments that are stressful in their homes and then outside of the homes too, you know. People without comfort usually can't give it back, you know. Like, imagine if you're stressed at work and you come home and there's no one to kind of comfort you. You're not going to be able to comfort your child, you know, things like this. And they can't give it back. And it shows here that when people do have it, they're far more likely to share it with those they love. Emma and Nate, they help each other. They can support each other. So they can both, in turn, support their son. See, cause and effect is very important when thinking about family dynamics. I didn't want anything to happen to these characters. I really didn't. And the author, I love that the author put the terror in my heart that so many things are going to happen, or that, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going to happen. Because I love them right from the start. I love stories where moms or women in general do things that are morally questionable to save the people they love. Fictional men, I feel like, have been known to do it forever. You know what I'm saying? Since forever. You know what I'm saying? Taken or something like that. Like, we know a guy's gonna go out and, like, you know, kill somebody for their kid or their wife or whatever. But I love seeing the women do it. And I'm glad that at least some fictional women would do whatever it takes to. It's a comforting thought. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not like we hear a lot about women doing stuff like this in real life anyway. Or anybody, you know, it's kind of illegal. But I just love to see it in books. And I found that my favorite thrillers are the ones where women are morally questionable. This is about to go off, so I'm going to hurry up. I loved Emma's disposition on life. You know, right off the bat, we find out that her knowledge of the system, you know what I'm saying, that has, you know, the medical system and the legal system, things like this, has failed her. Like, the second she realized that, it was just, you know, it was amazing. Being inside her head was just so amazing. She was a force, determined and caring, and pretty cool in a crisis. You know, she was all those things at once, and it was amazing to watch. She feels responsible for the people in her life, a lot like Nate. But because he was a detective, which I forgot about, he was a detective. So he was very limited by things, but she was not limited at all. She was a doctor, but still, she was limited by as many legal things as he was, and she kind of just didn't let anything hinder her anyway. The conversations about addiction, I thought were amazing. I can't remember a lot of them, but I thought they were amazing. And Emma, no matter how stressed she became, she always found time to make sure Josh was cared for and comforted. That's such an important notion as a parent to do, you know what I'm saying? You're obviously going to get upset and have your days, but you know, that's your child right there. They're responsible for them, you know, and I love the parents that can kind of put their own things aside and be there for their kid. Sometimes, this is the quote, sometimes we make decisions that might not be the smartest ones, but they teach us who we are and who we want to be. But don't use regret as a stick to beat yourself. Use it as a tool for doing better. She met his gaze. No one action defines us. It's the journey that determines if we're a good person or not. I love that. There is no other words. I love that. This is another quote. And he understood then. This is Nate's point of view. It was Nate's point of view also. And he understood then that people weren't morally infallible. Not his wife, who he found out was obviously doing illegal things for her son. And not his father, who he actually had done really illegal things, not for a good reason. And not himself, who had also done illegal things, but for a good reason. He understood why she done what she done. Speaking of his wife, this is later on in the book. I thought I really enjoyed the book. Like, right off the, I just loved it. I really enjoyed myself. The talks about morality are always something I really enjoy being explored in a novel. And so that's something that this book did throughout. And the human condition, I think, is such a complex thing. And what happens when someone has to do whatever it takes to save someone they love will always attract me to a novel. And so that was all I had to say about Do No Harm by Christina McDonald. The last book on the list, but definitely not least, is The Electric Kingdom by David Arnold. This was a book, the last book that I read actually, and a book that took me forever to finish, but it does not speak to its amazing quality at all. This book is about this girl named Nico, I'm pretty sure. It's about a girl named Nico, a boy named Kit, and some person called the Deliverer. All these people are living in this apocalyptic time period where there's a fly flu, and these you know what I'm saying? I'm not sure what you call it, mutated flies are roaming the globe, killing people, and the human population has gone down considerably. And it's about how all these people kind of merge, all their lives end up merging at some point, and why. And I thought the book was just absolutely fantastic. It was very good. It was very suspenseful, very aesthetic, which is my word for just saying very apocalyptic in the manner. And I really enjoyed myself. I almost cried several times. The book was just really good. You know, it was scary, but while also being very wholesome. And I thought it was great. I received this by Penguin Teen, and I really am so honored that I got to receive this arc. And it's out now. It came out in February, and I am now reviewing it a month later. Sorry, but I loved it, and here are all of my thoughts. The characters were just amazing. There were so many of them, like in the different storylines, because Nico is the main girl, and she's by herself for the first half of the novel, but Kit has friends and a family, and so we meet them, and I love them immediately. Monty and Lakey, who were siblings, and then Kit, and then his mother, Dakota. I loved all of them, and the way that Dakota, his mom, parents them all, like, because Monty and Lakey lost their parents, and Dakota knew them, and so she parents all of them as her own kids, and I love that. Especially because of how connected Dakota was to Monty and Lakey's parents. I love the way everyone and everything in this book is connected and foreshadowed to be connected. I love it. It was amazing. It was one of those books, like, you know, just read it, honestly. Like, this cover says it all. It was such a ride, such a tunnel vision, right? I love Nico's father, too, and the way that he always gave her hope, like, because, you know, he's alone in this first half of the book, and she only has him until she then leaves him too. And I love the way that he always gave her hope no matter what, you know. I thought that was very sweet. I love these books where people are all heading to one destination, and this happens a lot in apocalypse novels, because obviously who's going to just stay in their home or whatever. I love that, you know, this destination that promises a better life. I love that. And other examples include The Darkest Minds and 28 Days Later. I really just love this trope. Anyway, I love the way that as the book progressed and people started dying, which is inevitable in a book about a fly flu, and an apocalyptic fly flu. I love that the author, you know, touched on and very much expanded on a child's grief. I love the way that it was presented, you know, and multiple children, not just one child. I loved it. It was such a relatable and heartbreaking thing, but undoubtedly unique to the characters feeling it at any given time. It didn't feel rushed or anything. It felt beautiful, and I loved the way that he presented it. It made me smile, the way that Lennon, which is a character that they met later on in the novel, and Nico, which is obviously one of the main characters, made Kit laugh and made sure he wouldn't lose the last feelings of curiosity and innocence that he has. Kit is like 12 years old in this book, and everyone else is older than him, but they all kind of just cater to him and, you know, make sure that he doesn't lose that innocence. And I thought that was just a beautiful thing, honestly. Like, this author really just did something great with this novel. Dakota and Kit most likely broke my heart the most, because Dakota, obviously his mom, and, you know, that relationship that they had was just really so soft in a gigantic apocalypse. You know, how can you be so wholesome was my type of vibe. They called each other her, you know, they referred to each other as her and my, you know, that's my, you know, like the mom would be like my kid, and he would be like his Dakota. It was just so sweet. It was so sweet. I really enjoyed that. It just really broke my heart. When they found a store that was a Books A Million. This is set in, I'm pretty sure, London, and they found a Books A Million store, and they were just over the moon. Like, they were so happy at some point during this novel where they found this bookstore, and they kind of just camped out for the night, and it was just such a sweet thing, because it was like, you know what I'm saying, look at all these books in a time where, you know what I'm saying, so many things are scarce. A bookstore really just brought them joy, and I felt that joy along with them. The author did an amazing job at building terror and just dropping it in our laps out of nowhere. Like, there were so many times where I was just chilling, and the next thing you know, I'm terrified. I love that. And he did it after he got us attached to the characters too. So I'm like afraid, but now I'm very afraid because I really actually love these people and I don't want anything to happen to them. It was terrifying, I'm gonna be honest. And Kit, this is a spoiler, Kit ended up dying. And I was about to cry. It was so sad for me. And I thought that he was probably my favorite character because I loved his point of view, you know, a 12-year-old in a world so crazy. it was just like, it was, wow. The author knew how many hearts he would be breaking by killing him off, but I still love that he did it anyway. It wasn't really a sad death anyway, because he sacrificed himself for Nico. And you know what I'm saying, I know why he did it, you know what I'm saying, he chose to do it, and I thought it was such a mature decision and so sad. But, you know, it was sad for me, even though it wasn't the saddest death in the world. I'm really happy that Lakey ended up alive, and she kind of stayed with Kit's body, and I thought that was beautiful, because when she died, I was very sad, or when we thought she died, because I loved Lakey and Kit's relationship, and the way she kind of took care of him after Dakota died. It was just like, So many of these books, I mean, these characters were, you know, all of them, they were so wholesome and adorable. I loved them. I loved the dynamics, and I loved them individually. It was just amazing. 2 quotes from the book before I stop. 2 quotes that I loved from this book. It's not really about the finished thing, more about the process of putting it together. Again, this notion that was from the last book of like, the journey is more important than the destination, you know, or where you start at. It's how you get there, and it's the actual process of it all that is really what shines. And then the last one, that there was truth and hope to be found in even the most unlikely of fictions. I really, you know, I just love this book, honestly. It was a great novel, great thing to end on for this review, for this 3-book review. I really hope you enjoyed this all, because I really did. And, you know, read all 3 of these books. I really recommend every single one of them. If you're feeling apocalyptic, read this. If you are feeling action-packed, read Prodigal Son. If you're feeling thrilling and daring and you want some morally great characters in your life, read Do No Harm. Just read them. I really hope you enjoyed this. I hope that anybody who sees this really gets a lot out of it, whether you read the books or not. I hope I articulated my feelings well enough. I hope you enjoyed this. More videos in the future. As I read more NetGalley books, hopefully they will be really good, and I will make more of these videos, because a lot of them, all of them, are coming out in 2021. So, I love you all. I will see you guys later with another video. Peace out.